I may have another problem. As much as I love all types of fishing, my favorite is going to be catching big bass from the bank with a glide bait. The reason why throwing these big baits work for bass was explained by a Japanese pro bass fisherman really well by comparing it to catching humans. If you throw a dollar bill out, most people won't even give it a second look. They'll just walk by it. However, if you put $100 bill out, even if it's fake, you have to go at least look at it and examine it and make sure it's real, because sure, it may be fake. However, if it's real, you just made $100. And this is our $100. So when you throw this out, a bass knows this thing is not real in the slightest. However, they have to come and look at it, because even if it's fake, if it is real, it's a huge meal for them that will sustain them for a few days. And bass don't have fingers to hold the bait and look at it. The only way they can examine something is to put it in their mouth, and that's when you get them. Before I talk about the baits and how we fish these things, I want to talk about gear, especially if you're trying to make the investment in becoming a glide bait fisherman. Gear is pretty important. First things first is the reel. Because we're fishing these big heavy baits, we're going to have to go to higher pound test line. And for that, we need a bigger capacity spool. For me, I fish a 300 size bait caster, but a 200 size bait caster will work just as great. However, when you're looking at reels, you want to make sure you have a high gear ratio. Mine is, I think, 8-to-1, but you want to go 6-1 and up. The faster the reel with a bigger capacity, the better. For the rod, I recommend a heavy to extra heavy rod. And because we're fishing from the bank, I actually recommend a shorter rod. Mine is a extra heavy 6'6" rod. Generally, you'll hear people say like you need an 8-foot, 10-foot rod for glide baits. Not from the cover, because we want to make short, accurate cast around cover, right up next to cover. We don't need a long rod for that. A shorter rod that has a good amount of bend in it will be actually sufficient and perfect for glide bait fishing from the bank. So what about the line? I can go on and on and on about line, but at the end of the day, it will come down to personal preference. For me, what works is 50-pound braid to 20-pound mono. The reason for that being is that I need my line to float, especially when you're fishing a glide bait from the shore. And also, mono has a good amount of stretch in it. You're gonna backlash when you're fishing. And if you have just straight braid or just straight fluoro and you cast a 2-ounce, 3-ounce bait out and you backlash midair, that sudden snap of your line will pop your knot, and then whoop, there goes your $40, $50 bait into the nether. If you don't trust a braid to leader connection knot, you can just fill up your spool with Trilene Big Game Mono or a copolymer. We talk gear, now let's talk baits.